where, as Patty had sort of introduced, we're here to talk a little bit about, new routes to market, especially with all of this great conversation around marketplace. It's in some ways, certainly a mystery in how different businesses are sort of thinking about it, shaping it, making it something that's going to be a pervasive way for us to think about business strategy and revenue growth in the future. But also that there's a real opportunity now to kind of really understand foundationally how all of this is being built together. And some of the largest cloud scalers in the world are certainly making big bets in this space. So with me today, I'll just do a quick round of really brief introductions because we have some great experts on the call with us today. I'll first start with Vince Menzione. He is an award-winning business leader. He's held many executive roles in technology partner sales. He's also the founder of Ultimate Partnerships to guide technology organizations to achieve stellar business results. Thank you for joining us today, Vince.
Thank you, Karen.
We also have Megan Amdahl, who is the Senior Vice President of Partner Alliances and North America Transformation with Insight, and has had many roles, leadership success in enterprise sales, partner alliances, operations, and service delivery. Thank you for joining us, Megan.
Thank you.
And then we also have Rajashree Varma, who is a serial entrepreneur with 2 decades of passion for technology and business leadership, with many years leading technology strategy and technology firms, but now is a co-founder and CEO of Affable BPM. And I think someone here to tell us from the perspective of a new-ish entrepreneur on how success can look like in the marketplace. So thank you for joining us, Rajashree.
Thank you, Karen.
And then Robbie Minicola, Dr. Robbie Minicola.
Oh, not yet, not yet.
Well, you're getting there.
2 more chapters to go.
Well, we're rooting for you. We know
Thanks.
that's hard. Well, in social psychology, and also having a thriving career as a senior executive in many leadership roles, and today involved as a principal group product manager in the Azure Communications business group at Microsoft. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. So let's maybe start with setting up some context. Vince, I noticed in your LinkedIn you had posted some sort of new insights that came from Canalys, and I think Forrester's been talking about this around what the sizing of the opportunity is looking like these days. I'm wondering if you can give some, maybe some highlights on what you've observed, and also like what the just how massive and I guess opportunistic the cloud marketplaces are becoming.
No, thank you, Karen. We've been observing this marketplace opportunity for quite some time. I would say that there has even been some resistance towards marketplaces either by the hyperscalers or their partners that associate and co-sell with the hyperscalers. But we're really starting to see this on fire. And maybe it's the headwinds we're seeing in the economy. Certainly the work that Tackle.io has done in terms of identifying this untapped opportunity, this total addressable market at least with the 3 hyperscalers and many more. We're starting to see the predictions have gone up now. Canalys has gone from saying 25 billion in 2025 will flow through marketplaces. They now up their prediction to $45 billion. That's an 84% CAGR that we're seeing, 2x the previous forecast. So this is the time. And I think there's a lot of misconception around marketplaces. I hope that we're going to solve for some of that here today in this discussion. So thank you.
Yep. Yeah. So immense opportunity, fast growth, something that I think is getting even more sturdiness as a real sort of highway of revenue opportunity. So yes, we definitely want to dig more into that and what we're seeing. Maybe for Megan, maybe you could help us contextualize how you see marketplaces operating for channel partners and ISVs. Like what is something that's getting you excited about that route to market?
Yeah, absolutely. Insight's actually set up a cloud marketplace team. We think it's really important to do that because it's really a two-way relationship for us with the marketplaces themselves and understanding their roadmap, what ISVs they're onboarding, what portion of their portfolio that they're onboarding, and kind of what's the next step in the next plan. But then we also ISVs to have programs in place so that we can transact on the marketplace in a very efficient manner. So we're really working both sides of that so that we can provide our clients a frictionless experience. There is a huge amount of demand from our clients for this. Main reason being is that they're often looking to buy down the commitments that they have on the marketplaces, and this is an effective way for them to do that. The marketplaces are working very quickly to make it remove some of the friction involved in how things are transacted today. I'm sure they'll get there pretty quickly. It's a huge focus area for them. But what we're seeing is that the ISVs like it a lot. They see it as an additional storefront for them, an additional area for growth. And what they're telling us most often, and what we're seeing as well, is this isn't legacy business with their legacy clients transacting now through the marketplace. They're really selling net new offerings. And so it is working in terms of being that storefront for them, if you will. So a lot of growth, a lot of expansion within current clients, as well as acquiring net new.
I'd like to, open this up actually to anyone who wants to answer. Is there anything that you're seeing in how partners are showing up in these marketplaces that are, because they're, it's a partnership with these cloud scalers. There's certainly new revenue models to consider. Everybody's going to have a piece to understand their profitability in this new experience. Are there things that you're seeing that entrepreneurs should be paying attention to as they're thinking about their pricing structures or their go-to-market structures and leveraging the marketplace?
I have a few. It's Robbie here. Just speaking from the Microsoft perspective, especially with the Azure Marketplace, depending on the size of the ISV, usually the very large ISVs have, the stronghold in their own environment, like an Adobe or a Sitecore. You would go directly to their site. But, when you think about Sitecore, they've developed an entire business inside of the Azure Marketplace, which is a huge revenue opportunity for their business. And it's a significant business for us and for them, where they've established a separate business model entirely inside of the Azure Marketplace, where there's unique products that live inside of the Azure Marketplace and a unique channel, right? When you think about someone who's, a startup, you have to really think about your resources. Like, you don't have all the people in your company to say, I'm going to go and I'm going to dedicate all of these people to create my product over here, and then I can afford to dedicate a whole bunch of people over here to dedicate something inside of a marketplace. You don't have the luxury of all those people and all that money and all that branding and packaging and pricing and everything. You don't have that, right? So you really have to think about, how can I get more bang for my buck? And this is when I talk to the smaller businesses, I say, well, why don't you think about using a marketplace kind of as a Trojan horse strategy to say, well, this is my product that I'm trying to sell traditionally outside of a marketplace. And what I'm going to do is use the marketplace to really get exposure and take a piece of what I do, shrink it down, put it in the marketplace, maybe give, like you go into that bakery and they give you that little crumb of the muffin to get you to buy the whole muffin, and do that little muffin crumb inside of the marketplace to get people to trial you, and then get them to reach out to you and sell them the whole muffin outside of the marketplace. So, you just really have to think strategically about the resources that you have, what it is you're trying to sell, whether or not you can actually create net new products inside of a marketplace, or is it part of your existing portfolio? And I know Vince can talk with you about that as well. But, you've got to think strategically about that, and look at how you can use the marketplace for your advantage instead of the other way around, if that's helpful.
So I love what both Robbie and Megan had to say here, because this whole area about marketplace, I mentioned the friction earlier, and it seems like Megan's organization is addressing that. But what Robbie has mentioned also, people coming up with innovative approaches. What you generally have, though, are ISVs or SaaS software companies. The larger organizations, the over 1,000 and strategic, tend to have their own very robust channel strategy. And the viewpoint from the channel has been and because a lot of the noise around marketplaces, and even some of the people in the investment world have said this, is that the marketplaces will replace the channel. And that's not the case. In fact, the marketplaces enable the channel. Organizations like Megan's are taking the technology and embedding it, maybe wrapping around services or other offerings, and as a scale partner, bringing an ISV or SaaS software vendor's solution into market in a different way that's more compelling for the customer, in fact, and creating new white space opportunities for those organizations versus fighting the resistance because the systems and tools in the marketplaces don't support the old channel models. It's creating new and innovative approaches that we're seeing here.
Yeah, great. And also just, just even the expanse of marketplaces and where that's going. I mean, you can't use an app without its own embedded marketplace, right? Like you go to a Venmo, there's all these other services and apps that are within it. Teams is a great example of one in Microsoft, where you've got other apps you can keep adding to it. And so, building on your suggestion, Robbie, of these little sort of taster elements that can be incorporated into first party products and other marketplaces, that can also enable a nice lead flow of opportunity for your products. Rajashree, as someone who is an entrepreneur and onboarded 2 marketplaces, would love to get your perspective on your journey there and how it is transforming the way that you're taking your offerings to market.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. When I started this new startup right now, I have a BPM. We were very clear because of the experience what I bring on the table. I did work with Microsoft for 10 years, and after that, I had my consulting company, which got acquired by another larger SI. And when that larger SI didn't have any called Zorient, they didn't have any footprint into the Microsoft co-sell system. I was able to create that whole co-sell strategy for them, where bringing their solutions, accelerators, as well as consulting services onto the marketplace created huge pipeline. That was the absolute success, which I could see and propel, as well as I could see how to scale up. And that was the point where we had decided that for our startup, it's going to be the strategy, because as Robbie said, resources, being a startup, I don't have like a $10 million of the resources available at my fingertips. So going into the Microsoft Azure marketplace is the key initiative for us, because having our solution over there for the trial, as well as for our enterprise customers, is the key factor, because that is the way we can become the Microsoft co-sell partner as well as Azure IP co-sell partner. And that way we don't only get the visibility towards the end customer, but also to the Microsoft sellers, because being the co-sell partner, you get the amazing opportunities to work with the Microsoft co-sell team, because they have their targets to meet. They have to sell the solutions, or they have to promote selling the Azure. And if your solution is consuming the Azure, that should be your go-to-market strategy, because your solution is also getting Azure consumption, which is their target. And combiningly, you can go to market together. So it's very, very powerful having that hyperscaler behind you to go to the market, because your solution get tested, your reference architecture get tested. So there are tons of prerequisites that you have to go through when you're putting your solution onto the marketplace. But all those efforts are worth it, because you get the right path put forward to go into the market and really focus on how to sell through that channel.
Yeah, I think that's really sort of a great sharing for those that are sort of trying to figure out how they should be thinking about marketplaces and their strategies. It's an excellent way to be able to scale, right? And to also, I think, get some insights that can really educate you on, if you have an offering that is resonating, is there another way that you should be talking about your services or your solutions, so that it can be something that sellers pick up and easily bring into their customer engagements. which I know is something that Vince talks about a lot. So Vince, would love to get your perspective on, what kinds of things, entrepreneurs, SaaS builders should think about as they're creating sort of partnerships. So that's,
Yeah.
your space.
Thank you, Karen. I talk about a set of operating principles around what makes successful partnering. And, it starts internally within your organization and building that muscle, and then reaching across the table to the other organization and building a very strong strategy. But this kind of lands in what I refer to as agility. And this is sort of the seventh principle. Like, things are changing, the world has changed, the opportunity has changed around marketplaces. And we need to think anew. We need to think about ecosystem strategy now, right? The new buzzword in partnerships. What we used to refer to, you and I, Karen, at Microsoft days, as P2P. And what we see now is this great opportunity for organizations to think anew, to leverage their existing channels and partnerships in new ways to grow their business. And it requires more work. It requires vigilance. It requires taking a look at compensation models on both sides, all three sides, actually. In fact, your hyperscaler, Microsoft or Amazon or Google, your ISV or SaaS software company, and your scale partner or channel partner, whoever that might be, and finding what's in it for everyone in order to be successful. Maybe creating new compensation models, and maybe you're creating a new approach to go after the marketplace. And so organizations really need to double down on partnerships. And they're starting to see now too, because the acquisition costs in building these partnerships and not going it alone. Independent software companies were called independent software companies for a reason. They had their own independent sales organization, marketing organization, product and support organizations, really recognizing that the better together, the P2P, as we refer to it in the Microsoft days, or the ecosystem strategy, is needed here, and bringing all the parties together that also influence that customer decision process.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about ecosystem strategy. And, we
Yes.
can call it community, but there is something there, I think, that's even better positioned to be unlocked with a marketplace go to market, as well as a way for you to develop sort of a collection of other sellers, partnerships, to really activate success. So you're not out there doing it alone, and you're actually creating shared solutions that benefit your customers.
Absolutely.